The silent crown, the nobility of humility. There's a kind of power that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's the kind of power that lives in silence, in composure, in grace, in humility. And though the world often fails to notice it, this power is what keeps the world from falling apart. You see, we live in a time where everyone wants to be seen. Where validation is the new oxygen. Where confidence is often mistaken for arrogance, and humility for weakness. But the truth is, humility has always been the crown of the strong. It's not the loud, the flashy, or the bold that hold the greatest strength. It's the quiet ones, the ones who can walk into a room and not need to dominate it. The ones who can win and still stay grounded. The ones who can lose and not crumble. Because humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to defend it. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote in his journal, "Do not be carried away by fame or applause. Remember that soon you will be nothing, and the world will go on without you." This wasn't self-pity, it was self-control. He wore his crown silently, not because he lacked pride, but because he understood perspective. Humility is perspective. It's seeing yourself clearly, your strengths and your flaws, and realizing that both are temporary. That the praise and the criticism are just noise. That what matters is not how loudly you walk through the world, but how consciously. There's a quiet nobility in that. A quiet strength in restraint. In a culture that rewards noise, the humble have mastered the art of silence, and that silence is louder than any applause. Because humility doesn't live in words, it lives in actions. It lives in how you treat people who can do nothing for you. It lives in how you respond when the world disrespects you. It lives in the way you choose peace over pride, understanding over argument, truth over ego. To be humble is not to shrink, it's to rise without needing others to bow. It's to stand tall without standing over anyone. It's to lead without shouting. To teach without belittling. To give without announcing. Humility is invisible greatness. It's the weightless strength that keeps your feet on the ground while your soul touches the sky. But humility isn't born from comfort. It's shaped by pain, by failure, by the moments that force you to confront your limits. It's not something you learn in victory, it's something you earn through defeat. Every time life humbles you, when you lose, when you're misunderstood, when you're overlooked, life is not punishing you. It's teaching you to wear the silent crown. To be royal in spirit, not in recognition. Because true greatness doesn't need an audience, it only needs awareness. The humble understand that the mountain they climb doesn't make them greater than those who haven't reached the top. They know that the higher you rise, the more careful your steps must become. Because arrogance is the wind that knocks down the tall, while humility is the root that keeps them standing. And maybe that's the secret to inner peace, to remember that we are not as big as our pride tells us, but not as small as our fears whisper either. We are human, fragile and strong, temporary yet capable of leaving something eternal behind, the example of a life lived with grace. When you think about it, humility is not the absence of strength, it's its highest form. It takes more power to hold back than to strike. It takes more wisdom to listen than to argue. It takes more courage to admit you don't know than to pretend you do. The Stoics would say, be indifferent to praise and blame. Why? Because both distort reality. Praise inflates the ego, blame feeds insecurity. Humility stays in the middle, steady, calm, unmoved. And that's where peace lives. Not in the noise of approval, but in the silence of knowing who you are. You don't need to chase validation when you live by values. You don't need to prove yourself when your actions speak. You don't need a crown of gold when your soul already shines in truth. The humble are misunderstood because they don't fit the mold. They don't fight for attention. They don't demand to be right. They simply are, grounded, kind, and quietly unbreakable. In a world that worships image, humility is rebellion. It's the courage to be unseen in a culture that confuses visibility with worth. It's the strength to walk away when your ego wants to fight. It's the grace to forgive when your pride wants revenge. Because the humble know that no one ever truly wins when the heart loses its peace. They know that every victory built on ego eventually collapses under its own weight. And that true success, the kind that lasts, is silent, slow, and steady. Humility is what gives depth to greatness. Without it, success becomes noise, hollow and fragile. With it, even the smallest act becomes noble. A humble word can heal what pride destroyed. A humble apology can mend what anger broke. A humble silence can speak louder than arrogance ever could. You see, humility isn't the rejection of power, it's the proper use of it. It's choosing self-control when you could dominate. It's choosing peace when you could win. It's choosing truth when you could deceive. The humble walk through the world with open eyes. They see the suffering of others not as weakness, but as reflection. They know that judgment closes the heart, but understanding opens it. And maybe that's the nobility of humility. To know that everyone you meet is fighting something you cannot see. To understand that kindness is not softness, it's wisdom wearing gentleness as armor. There's something profoundly royal about someone who can stay kind in cruelty, patient in anger, and composed in chaos. That is the silent crown, unseen, but unmistakable. Because humility isn't a performance, it's a way of being. It's a discipline of the soul. It's waking up each day and asking not, how can I be admired? But, how can I be better? And when you start living that way, with quiet purpose and sincere intention, you begin to notice something. Peace follows you, opportunities unfold naturally, people trust you, and life, somehow, rewards your calm more than your noise. Humility is magnetic. It doesn't need to pull, it attracts. Because people feel safe around authenticity. They feel inspired by calm confidence, by someone who has nothing to prove. It's easy to be proud when things go well. But humility is tested in the storm. When the world misjudges you. When someone disrespects you. When you know you're right but choose silence over conflict. That's when the silent crown weighs the heaviest, and shines the brightest. The Stoics taught that virtue is the only true good. Humility is its foundation. Because without humility, wisdom turns into arrogance, courage into recklessness, and justice into self-righteousness. But with humility, everything stays in balance. And maybe that's the true nobility. Not in ruling others, but in ruling yourself. Not in being admired, but in being aligned. Not in wearing a crown, but in earning it quietly through your character. When your strength becomes gentle, when your wisdom becomes patient, when your victories become silent, you will understand what it means to be truly powerful. So wear your crown in silence. Let the world underestimate you. Let them mistake your calm for weakness, your humility for passivity. They'll never understand that your peace is your power. Because those who kneel before truth never have to bow to illusion. And those who walk humbly carry the greatest weight with the lightest heart. That is the silent crown, the nobility of humility, and the mark of a soul that has mastered itself.